Lots of comments coming in about the embarrassment that was the league final from a Mayo perspective. I don't know. Are you really that embarrassed? Let's find out how embarrassed you are this morning, because the power rankings are next.
Some of these critics, these pundits.
I absolutely adore them lads. I have unbelievable time for them, but they're a great bunch, but it's not acceptable.
They'd like to play the hard man when they're on it. It's not very pleasant when you're trying to manage a team. All you're looking for is a bit of civility and a bit of decency, but they just miss you like you know, you have nothing to do with the bloody occasion.
3 long weeks without the power rankings have passed.
Whoa, where have you been all my life?
That's what people out there are asking this morning. I'm not sure how an entire society can go by without its weekly dose of correctness. Let's go through these. We've had final two rounds of regulation. We've had league finals since then, so there's plenty of turbulence. At 32, though, there's no turbulence. It's still Waterford, and in ahead of them is Carlow, still there at 31.
What's with the new bed?
I don't know.
It was like a... What is it? It's air?
Oh.
Is it? Or,
This is the sound of just pure fact-based journalism coming at you.
oh, I thought maybe you were going to say vape-based. Lying on your couch going, I need to make some changes, man. Gotta channel my inner peace, man.
Yeah, got kicked out of the corporate box after that.
I'd say so, yeah. Or maybe not, things have changed.
Things have changed. Number 30 is Wexford. They are down. London are also down. They started really well to the league, as we all know, won their first 3 games, but then lost the rest of them to 29th. Wicklow are up to 28th. They ended up getting relegated. They did get a big win in the penultimate round of their Division 3 campaign. They did beat Longford, but they lost the rest of their games, barring Fermanagh, who they drew with. Leitrim stayed put at 27th. Sligo stayed put at 26th. Longford, they got a big win against Laois on the last day of the regulation part of the league. They beat Laois by 7 points there. They're up to 24th. Fermanagh are in at 23rd, up a spot. Antrim staying put at 22nd. Laois then, one of the big fallers, all the way down to 25th after they got relegated to Division 4. Down are also falling. They're down to 21st. They've been relegated as well. And Westmeath, I'll accept maybe the algorithm got broken just a little bit. I typed in the wrong numbers into the calculator a few weeks ago. Westmeath were perhaps a tad overrated. They're down to 20th. Tipperary, a bit of a rise from them, a good conclusion to the league. It looked for a while as if they weren't going to get out of Division 4, but they did. They're up to 19th. They could have possibly won.
How did they do in the final?
Saturday.
They are unfortunate not to win the game, obviously.
Very unfortunate not to get their hands on that silverware. Limerick, also unfortunate not to get their hands on the silverware. They were up 3 spots to 18th after making it to the Division 3 final and getting promoted, but they did lose to Louth. Offaly down to 17th after the last couple of weeks, and then Louth, one of the bigger risers here, are up to 16th. That 2-point win against Limerick, and in their hands on silverware, Mickey Hart, Gavin Devlin doing a good job there, and they are into the top 2 divisions, will not be playing Tailteann Cup. Cork survived in Division 2, and you have to say that by the skin of their teeth, they've managed to preserve their place in the top 16 teams in the country here, so I have them up in 15th.
So Cavan, who win Division 4, are ahead of Cork, who stay in Division 2.
Yeah, well, Cavan couldn't get to Division 2 this year, could they?
No, they
if Cavan
couldn't.
were in Division 3, could they have got into Division 2? I suspect they might have.
I mean...
And they'd be playing in the same division as Cork next year.
Okay, it's interesting. So, they're not even going to be playing the same competition now for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I know. But, that's why these things exist.
The power rankings are better than the official tournament.
Yes.
Fair enough.
Well,
I think we can all agree with that.
I think that goes without saying. So, Cavan, for any radio listeners, are in at 14th. Clare stay put at number 13. Meath at number 12, staying put. Derry then drop a place to 11th. Perhaps a tad overrated as well over the start of the season, or maybe their form just tailed off and we'll see them backfiring on all cylinders in the Ulster Championship. Galway have dropped down to 10th. I genuinely thought, and maybe even think, that Galway could be a better team than Roscommon, but if you get beaten by Roscommon in back-to-back games, it's hard to have them ahead of them. And then I also made the decision to have Kildare ahead of Galway, just because of some of the moments we saw from Kildare in this league, drawing with Kerry, beating Dublin, beating Monaghan by 9 points in the penultimate day of the league. I think having them outside Galway might have been a tad incorrect, actually, so I have them in at 9th. Roscommon.
On behalf of the County of Kildare and Paul Mescal, apology accepted.
Thank you very much. Roscommon at 8th, up a few spots. They finished the league really well. The only unbeaten team in the country, of course. Since we've last done these power rankings, they beat Offaly by 10 points and then they won back-to-back games against Galway, so definitely deserving of the rise. Armagh down a few spots to 7th. Definitely burned brightly early in the league, and maybe it's a Derry situation here where they come back and they tear through the Ulster Championship, and they've been keeping their powder dry after securing themselves in Division 1.
Well, Geezer's team's not great in the early rounds of championships, are they?
Famously. But then again, you have those early moments in this year's league, beating Dublin, and the day of the brawl, beating Tyrone, I think was a good result. Donegal in at 6th, Monaghan in at 5th, and Dublin at 4th, staying put at 4th. Yes, the Monaghan game has happened since we last updated the rankings, but so was the Donegal game. And I just reckon if Dublin played Monaghan 5 times in a championship series.
Where will those games be, Eoin?
Dublin. Well, let's just go with neutral venue as opposed to, or else 2 home, 2 away. One neutral.
But sure, they're
so
home.
3 Croke Park,
so
2
Parnell
Clonus.
Park. Here's the thing, because they will never play outside of. Is there any format? Is there any possibility of an All Ireland quarter final? There's a qualifier. They could both be in the qualifiers, right?
Yeah.
They couldn't. They actually couldn't. Not this year.
Dublin and Monaghan.
Yeah.
Oh, they definitely could.
Dublin
Sorry. You mean the possibility of Dublin being beaten in the Leinster Championship?
Yeah.
Is impossible.
Yeah.
Well, what could happen is that Dublin have played Monaghan in All Ireland quarterfinals in the past, where Monaghan have gone through the back door and got Dublin through the front door, and that could be a very real possibility.
Are they all automatically fixed for Croker? They are, aren't they?
I think so. Yeah. I think
I
quarterfinals
can't remember. So, like, there's no world in which Monaghan can play Dublin legitimately. Like, the game is not in Croke Park.
Unless they get knocked out of the Leinster Championship. Yeah. I presume, anyway, that all those 4 fixtures are going to be taking place in Croke Park, as they always have done. Mayo are down a spot to 3rd after the league final. I'm not sure what I would have done last week, but it doesn't matter. We're here now. Tyrone are in at 2nd, and I'm pretty forthright in that the Tyrone are ahead of Mayo right now. I'm not sure if that's a reaction to the league final or not, because I think Tyrone are really good in Killarney, and then Kerry are in at number 1, staying put.
Okay, well, I think you've overrated Monaghan there, right? I think maybe underrated Donegal a bit. I think when Monaghan played Donegal in a, again, where will that be? Probably neutral venue. The toss of a coin there, so maybe they should be both 5th and there's no 6th team. But let's talk about the Dubs, right? Dublin are behind Mayo at the moment.
Yeah.
In the championship. So this is now a championship. The league is over.
Yeah, this is kind of like a championship preview rankings, I guess.
Championship rankings. So you would expect Mayo to go further than Dublin. No, you don't. You expect them both to go to the same level this year.
Yeah, and by the time we get to that, I know it's not the way the draw is set up, but we're the same as last year, and they come up against each other in the semi-final. We just tip Mayo. It's unbelievably close. But if Mayo get all those players back, and presumably if it was just shadowboxing from their perspective on Sunday, then I think that Mayo team won't be too far off the Mayo team that we saw beat Dublin last year. And where Dublin this year in comparison to that team, you could argue that they're a little bit off that team that did lose to Mayo last year. Now the big game changer, and like we've distilled all this Dublin argument now. It's been getting narrower and narrower and narrower over the last month about all the players that are coming back to one person. All of a sudden, Conor O'Callaghan is the man who has the keys to Dublin's dreams of getting one more All Ireland. If you compare their starting 15s on paper, you possibly make an argument that Dublin have a better team, but I think that it's just the squad and even some of those water carrier players around the middle third that Mayo have that are just that bit better than Dublin's bench players at the moment, which should see them through. Obviously, the couple of injuries that Mayo have, they don't have a fully fit squad compared to the one that they would have ideally wanted from the outset of the season, but it's still a squad strong enough to beat Dublin, I think. Just
how big an achievement would it be for this Dublin team to win All Ireland this year?
That'd be incredible, wouldn't it? Like I think, well, incredible maybe is a bit strong, but I think it would definitely be the sweetest
any of the
for them. I think it would be the sweetest for them, bar maybe 2011 for Dublin fans.
So it's at the level of 2011.
Oh yeah, I would say so. I think there's nothing sweeter than being written off, and being written off potentially incorrectly, because I guess it will have been incorrect, all the writing off, if they go and win the All Ireland this year. Now I do think that maybe the criticism of Dublin hasn't necessarily been they're not going to win the All Ireland, although I did spot Pat Spillane writing that this morning saying Dublin are not going to win the All Ireland. So there you go, congratulations on lifting Sam Maguire 2022, everybody in Dublin. But bar that, I think the criticism has mostly been they're just not what they once were, and there is hope for everybody else. Now I think that, as you can see in the rankings there, I would have 3 teams better than them at the moment.
Kerry are miles ahead of everybody at the moment. They're actually miles ahead of everybody, and so there is definitely people. We had a lot of comments in yesterday, from people saying that what's happened here is that Kerry have peaked too soon. I don't believe that. I don't buy that for a second. They needed confidence, and they needed confidence in the new defensive system, and they've got that, and they now have a definitive style of play, and all of the question marks that we had about them for the last couple of years are gone.
I would say that there is a possibility for those people who said that Kerry might have peaked too soon. What I think the reality might be, if Kerry don't end up winning the All-Ireland here, is that they're maybe a little bit like Manchester City, where they have the strongest squad and they look brilliant in the league when they can rotate the squad, when they need to rotate the squad week after week and the fixtures are coming thick and fast. And there's a little bit more of a randomness to it in terms of the players that you're playing and the players that you're coming up against, and they will brush teams aside. But when it comes to the big moment, when you've got a few weeks of a lead into a massive game and you're thinking about that game quite a lot, and there's a recent history of you bottling the big games, so I'm talking about Manchester City in the Champions League here obviously, then you start to doubt them. That I think would be the reality here, as opposed to them peaking too soon.
Did they bottle a game against Tyrone last year, or did their best player get injured at a key moment in the game? Do you know?
Yeah. I think there's a bit of bottling going on. There was a couple of chances that obviously were very unfortunate that they didn't convert, and it's hard to know. I do think that there was definitely a bit of a mental block. I think 2020 exposed that as well, and to a certain extent 2019. I think 19 is a bit of a free pass given the quality of opposition and the age profile of the squad, but 20 and 21 felt similar in certain ways.
Kerry played their full hand against Mayo's second team, says Sir Klopp, in the middle of spring. Haven't they learned anything from last year? And Connor says Kerry still haven't won the All-Ireland. They're going 100 miles an hour in April. I would give Tyrone, Mayo, Dublin and Armagh a chance of taking them in a semi-final and possibly a final. I don't think Armagh are going to do it yet. I think that Armagh need still to establish the fact that they can win big games like an All-Ireland semi-final, and we haven't seen that from them. Like, at least with the Tyrone team, they'd been to an All-Ireland final, they'd been to All-Ireland semi-finals, they had lost those, and they'd had a change in management who were doing something different. That was the difference between them last year. And also, just Darren McCurry has become an elite forward, and he wasn't even part of the setup at various stages in the past. Some more comments. I don't think we should be making any excuses for Mayo. You can't switch it on and off. Same old tactical inept performance, but also they just don't have the players. I don't think that's true at all. I think you can make loads of excuses. I think they were completely vanilla. They weren't showing how they're going to deal with David Clifford, because no one's going to leave David Clifford on an island, or else they are going to leave David Clifford on an island and they're going to say we're going to concede 1-7 to him and another 6 points to the rest of the team, and that's it. That's what we're going to do. But we're going to have loads of players back. There will be a massive funneling back of players, but there was no funneling back of players this weekend.
Not really. No, it felt it was too easy.
Humanify says, one of the most embarrassing performances I've ever witnessed as a Mayo fan. Shouldn't be losing by this much to any team. Great Kerry performance and team, in fairness though.
Yeah, when it comes to Mayo, and when it comes to, maybe this is more close to Dublin, there's plenty of examples of teams who have been terrible at the start of the championship, never mind in the league, and gone on to win the All-Ireland. Like 2009 when Kerry win the All-Ireland, and this is probably closer to Dublin, as I say. They were shocking during the Munster Championship. They got through the qualifiers by the skin of their teeth. Then out of nowhere, they beat Dublin by 17 points in an All-Ireland quarter-final. I'm not sure, do Mayo have that capability? I think that they'll probably build slowly and you'll maybe expect a big performance. Whereas I wonder, is that coming from Dublin? Is that sting in the tail actually coming from Dublin at some point this season? I don't know. I do think that Mayo...
There's no evidence for the Dublin thing, is the only thing?
There wasn't any evidence for Kerry in 2009. Now, in fairness, they had a good league that year. I think they won the league. Because I think every year Jack O'Connor's won the championship, he's won the league. So they must have obviously done so in 2009. But
their best players were at the right age.
Yeah.
The Dublin team, I don't know, this group of players aren't that old. The ones who are left are actually not old. Many of them are in their what should be peak. Yeah,
like 5 or 6 players that have started to play well recently as well are absolutely in their peak. And you're talking about Fenton, Kilkenny, Brian Howard. Like Niall Scully was arguably their best player last season, and he's at the right age to be a dominant player and an all-star again this season. So I'd have less concerns about them. The Mayo thing is just a harder thing to pin down, isn't it? I wouldn't necessarily be as worried as that texter, but I would also say that you can't just throw away everything that you saw on Sunday. But that's a positive for James Horan, isn't it? That he's not going to throw away all of it. He's like, okay, we've got a very long list of things that we've got from Sunday, but it gives us a lot to work on. And maybe Galway... Maybe Galway's the real concern at the moment, as opposed to any All-Irelands. But the good news for them is that there is a safety net. Yeah, if you're a Mayo fan, you're looking at what happened to Tyrone last year against the same team and going, well, that's a good portent for us. That's a harbinger of glory. Obviously, Tyrone are a completely different team from
this Mayo team at the moment. And like, we don't know what impact. It was interesting to hear Anthony Moyes yesterday in studio say he doesn't expect Cillian O'Connor to be Cillian O'Connor this season at all. That you can't be building the team around him. You might get a meaningful 15-20 minutes out of him in crunch moments later as the season goes on. That might just be enough, that might just be enough. Let's talk about Tyrone, because as predicted, they had a very slow start to the league campaign and then they roared back. The strength and depth issue that will emerge from having 7 players leave from last year's panel, that is important, but is it that important?
Well, I don't think we've seen it yet, the actual aftermath of that, or the proof of it in the results, because they've actually got better the more people have walked away, it seems, over the league. I think the Kerry result was actually real icing on the cake for their league campaign, because nobody expected them to contend for this league. Like, they've been poor after winning All Irelands in the past, and James Dunn, who obviously called them to get relegated. It almost did happen.
Kerry basically got Kildare relegated that day, by the way. Just a nice little tidbit there, by like not going hell for leather for the game. One of the immediate outcomes was Jack O'Connor got to watch Kildare go down.
A nice sayonara from Jack. Yeah,
just saying. It's like an added bonus.
I'm sure it was a pure coincidence. Like, you can't look at the
never give a sucker an even break. Oh, Tyrone, let's beat. What were Kerry doing?
We're just chilling out in the
What were
sunshine,
they doing?
in the beer garden beforehand.
Making Tyrone feel we have their number again. That's a good idea, isn't it?
No,
Let's wait and see. Let's wait and see later. I'm actually
Good idea
dying
for
to see
Tyrone.
that game now later in the year.
Will it happen though?
Unlikely.
Well, they were 1 and 2 in the rankings, and they were on opposite sides of the draw, and it's possible for it to happen. I do think.
Hopefully it happens in the All-Ireland quarter-final. That's what I want. That would be the greatest All-Ireland quarter-final. I want that. I want that to happen this year.
But there's going to be at least one absolute box office quarter-final, because of the fact that...
Yeah, but somehow the draw will be fixed so that Kerry don't get it. And I don't mean fixed, but just it'll accidentally happen that way, that Kerry somehow get ushered straight through to an All-Ireland semi-final.
No, I'm sure it is
Barely
fixed.
haven't broken sweat.
I'm sure it is fixed. I'm sure Kerry cheated all down through the years to get their 36 All-Irelands.
No, they just had a handy draw.
Yeah.
They just had to play 2 games.
Yeah, two games.
They had to beat the Cork footballers.
Biggest county in Ireland.
I mean, who are a
Massive
hurling
population.
county. Hurling county.
We've got a load of All-Irelands.
Only interested in hurling.
Great teams at
Yeah.
the 2000s.
By five football-only clubs.
Yeah, like I don't like it would. I think maybe in the past what you've got is a couple of shocks in the back door. For example, Tyrone getting beaten by Longford, wasn't it, in 09, was it, or was it 06? One of those years. Or sorry, it was Sligo maybe, and then Mayo got taken up by Longford one of the years. But anyway, you're not going to have those shocks taking place, because they've all been taken out of it, and now it's we've funneled in.
They'll be playing a different competition that no one will watch, see, or hear of.
Yeah. Still, somehow, though, Kerry will get loud in an All-Ireland quarter-final.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what'll happen.
Right. So, number 1 by a mile in a tier of their own.
No, not
yes,
in a tier.
They are in a tier of their own.
They're not in a tier.
They are. They just won a league final by double scores.
But they're against
the team who's third or
vanilla
fourth.
team, as you put it themselves. Put it yourself.
Yeah, but you said you can't throw it all out. So
no, you can't.
Nothing can stop the hype train in Kerry at the moment. Nothing.
Really? What do you think is happening down in Kerry right now? What's your image of what's going on in that county?
I mean, you're painting the sheep green and gold. They're like instead of the Guinness coming out of the taps, it's actually just Kerry gold.
Yeah.
And people are like, underneath it, feed me like that. Except it's, instead of butter, the people are like imagining it's All Ireland medals.
Yeah, that's it exactly.
And like All Ireland medals are getting back in the change. Like, we're back.
Yeah. I've heard reports that that's exactly what's happening here. They've stopped trains coming in and out of the county so that people can't see it.
No American tourists allowed.
No, I did see actually a tour bus the other day. That was looked like they had a lot of Americans on it. That's when you know that the county's back.
Killarney's a bit plastic though, isn't it?
Oh.
Isn't it? Do you think
Go
that?
for it. No, go on.
No, you think that.
No, I would never say. I don't think that. No, I do not think that.
Secretly, you think Killarney
getting gentrified a little bit.
Not gentrified, just full of tourists, and it's 15 quid for a pint.
It's got more expensive for sure, but so is everywhere else in the country.
No, that hasn't. A lot of value. A lot of us have returned to our core Irish values of value for money and good spiritedness.
Yeah, I did meet a couple of Kerry players who had to pay into a nightclub recently.
Controversial.
Yeah.
Why did they not pull the "Don't you know who I am" as
clearly they
is.
might have done, and they were rejected the opportunity to offer up who they were. And fair play to them, just contributing to the local economy, keeping things going.
All right. And the fact that the Kerry players are speaking to you, that's going to stop pretty soon.
It never started. It's never a thing.
8 minutes past 8 this morning. If you want to get in touch with us, if you would like to pick apart Eoin's rankings, please do. You can do it in our YouTube channel. You can on the comments subscribe there, or you can do it using the hashtag OTB AM on Twitter as well. That's this week's Power Rankings.
I absolutely adore them lads. I have unbelievable time for them, but they're a great bunch, but it's not acceptable